Let's say you're Sega in the late 90s and you want to re-release your Genesis classics on Windows PCs, but you don't have a distributor lined up. Who do you turn to in this time of need? Well, the obvious choice was Expert Software, a Florida-based company that had been in the software publishing game for 7 years. Experts, if you will. Let's take a quick run through their resume and see what might have made them stick out to Sega. Starting with Resume Writer, your fast track to a successful career, featuring all new resume and interview tips from Tom Washington. I don't know who this man is, but he is the epitome of business. I want him in my network immediately.
Enthusiasm has gotten more people jobs than any other single quality. Because enthusiasm is so important, perform an enthusiasm check about every 10 minutes.
Expert Software released a wide variety of media on their discs, with over 150 titles, ranging from house design tools to stock clip art to video games and even cooking recipes. There is really something for everybody, whether you were an astronomer or an astrologer, Expert had you covered. Expert Software is, for the most part, nothing special. Flipping through their catalogs, you can find all sorts of programs that definitely might have been fun, interesting, or useful back in the 90s, but not much that sticks out as particularly unique. I don't think we'd be living in a drastically different planet if the world had been short one extra screensaver or paint program. But with such a large library, you'd be bound to come across a more unique specimen every now and then, such as this one, which advertised advice from a lottery winner on how you could rig the lottery for yourself and get better odds. However, given the fact that we didn't see a spike in Powerball lottery winners during the year this released, I think it's safe to say that whatever information this CD contained was overhyped. Overall, this stuff was nothing to write home about, but I'm gonna write home about it anyway. Here's a random sample of about a dozen more of Expert's offerings. First, we have Expert Landscape for IBM and Tandy computers. You know that this was a quality product because it came with the prestigious Expert Software Publisher's Choice seal. This was one of their earlier releases, from 1992, back when it was still common for software to come scribbled on napkins. Retailing for $49.95, this tool allowed you to plan out how you wanted your yard to look, with a variety of drawing and layout tools, as well as a plant encyclopedia where you could look up various vegetation for your decoration. The instruction manual includes tutorials and advice about how to use the software, and a segment briefly detailing the history of yard decoration for anyone not up to speed on the landscape lore. If you brushed up on this properly, you wouldn't look like a fake fan if you were out decorating your lawn and your neighbor came up and told you to name 3 Victorian hedge styles. Expert put out another landscaping tool 7 years later in 1999. This time it was in 3D and could lay claim to an actual award from a computer magazine. It wasn't a made-up award they were giving to themselves, it was the Computer Times Editor's Choice Award, which is still around to this day, putting landscape design 3D up there with the likes of Meow Match, Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery, Doctor Who Bluetooth speakers, and Minions Paradise. Next up we've got Great Gourmet, 10,000 kitchen-tested recipes you can make tonight. I'm a bit skeptical of this tagline, because even if you had a full 12-hour afternoon, you'd need to be making 14 recipes a minute to get all 10,000 finished in a single night. But let's not knock it too much without giving it a fair shot. When you first set it up, you get the option to select which cookbooks are installed, depending on your culinary interests. Limiting your options like this is probably a nice feature for casual cooks, but you won't catch me chefing on easy mode. Let's try some of the recipes. Here's a good menu go together, which makes one serving. Apple slices. Apple, cut into slices. That's too many steps for me. Next we've got the recipe for a banana. Now this I can handle. Next we have Slam Tilt Pinball. It's pinball with a healthy quantity of both tilting and slamming. Nothing all that mind-blowing. Pinball video games weren't anything remotely new even at the time. Although the ESRB had been in full force since 1994, Expert didn't send in most of their games to receive age ratings. Most of them were appropriate for all ages, but in this case, one of the levels contained nudity in the form of this mermaid sprite in the background. This is the kind of gratuitously inappropriate content which would have warranted an instant M rating. Just imagine how many poor innocent children saw those 2 pixels and were scarred for life as a result of Expert's negligent practices. Now here's Astronomer. It allows you to see what the stars look like or will look like at any moment in time at different dates and coordinates. Pretty straightforward. Astrologer is much more interesting, allowing you to find out what the stars hold for your future and make informed decisions. This is a dream come true. I always wanted information to base my decisions on. According to my horoscope, I resent gossip and slander. It's scary how much these things can tell about you. It also lets you find information about your romantic compatibility, determining your compatibility with family, friends. Fuck? I assume that's just poor phrasing, and they meant you could check your family members against the built-in list of famous people and say to yourself, oh boy, my sister is a 90% match with Ronald Reagan. Which might actually be even worse. I don't have such great odds getting hitched to the guy myself, but at least my ascendant is one of his houses, whatever that means. I also tried to match myself with myself, but apparently that's where the program considers a line crossed. On to 40 Games for Windows, a compilation of 40 games that, despite the title, also worked on Macs. We've got quite the exciting scene taking place here on the cover, featuring some playing cards, a chess piece, and an airplane all exploding out of the number 40. It also promises a gaming extravaganza for the whole family, as well as the seemingly contradictory tagline, "Visit a casino." Come on in kids, we're having a gaming/gambling extravaganza in here. Majors and minors welcome, let's go! There's a wide variety of selectable games here, albeit mostly pretty basic ones. Some of them are remakes of common games like poker, memory, tic-tac-toe, cryptograms, asteroids, and Pong, but others are more original. Some highlights include Cheesy Pursuit, where you're a mouse and have to get all the cheese without the cat heads touching you, Olive Wars, which is a chaotic scene with vegetables shooting at each other, and Hexapon, which is like chess, but with only the pawns. In 1997, Expert made two big licensing deals to boost their software catalog with brand recognition. The first being McDonald's, which got its own little section at the end of the catalog, and the other, of course, being Sega. Just 5 months after the release of 40 games, Expert put out a press release announcing that they would be publishing certain Sega titles on PC. Specifically, Sonic CD, Sonic Schoolhouse, Daytona USA, Bug, Virtua Fighter, Panzer Dragoon, and most importantly, Garfield Caught in the Act. Most of these games were released under the Sega PC Collection line, mostly the same, but sometimes with improvements. Garfield Caught in the Act was renamed to Garfield in TV Land, and it's considered to be the definitive version of the game. Not only was the music remastered in CD quality, but the levels were rearranged and new ones were added in. Following this up, Expert released more Sega games that weren't listed in the original press release, including Sega Smash Pack and Sega Puzzle Pack, both compilations of Genesis games. These Sega games really ushered in a new era at Expert, one in which their games finally got ESRB ratings. But unfortunately, this reign of quality titles from Expert was short-lived. Just 2 years later, in 1999, it was announced that Expert software would be purchased and merged into Activision. And following this, future prints of Sega's PC games removed Expert's presence from the label. And that was the anticlimactic end of Expert software. Although their products don't hold up amazingly nowadays, it can still be interesting to go back and look at mostly forgotten programs from this time. And honestly, I think a few of the titles Expert put out were actually pretty lame.